Archaic cultures on origin, order, and meaning. Archaic cultures do not mark a primitive beginning of human history, but a decisive moment of order. They emerge where human beings begin to grasp themselves, the world, and the unknown within coherent structures of meaning. The term archaic refers to origin, to what is first and foundational, not to backwardness. In archaic cultures, the groundwork is laid upon which later high civilizations, sciences, and political systems are built. What all archaic cultures share is a mythical understanding of the world. Reality is not analyzed but narrated. Gods, ancestors, natural forces, and cosmic principles are not metaphors, but real ordering powers. Nature and society, religion and politics are not separated but form a unity. Rain, fertility, illness, death, and rule are directly connected to a higher order that must be addressed and stabilized through ritual. Rituals therefore assume a central function. They structure time, transitions, and power. Birth, coming of age, accession to rule, and death are not left to chance, but embedded in symbolic acts. In archaic cultures, rituals are not an addition to everyday life, but the framework that gives everyday life meaning. Through ritual, the world is not merely explained, but maintained. At the same time, early forms of rule and law emerge. Kings, priests, or ruling figures legitimize their authority, not through majority decisions, but through proximity to the divine or the cosmic. Laws are not understood as human-made, but as expressions of a higher order. This grants power stability, but also inviolability. Criticism becomes nearly impossible because it would question not only political authority, but the structure of the world itself. Art in archaic cultures follows this same principle of order. Figures appear frontal, timeless, and idealized. Individuality recedes in favor of symbolism. Art is not meant to depict personal expression, but to stabilize reality. Gods, rulers, ancestors, and cosmic principles are made visible in order to create permanence. Beauty arises not from subjectivity, but from harmony, measure, and repetition. Another central feature of archaic cultures is the early fixation of knowledge. Writing, or proto-forms of writing, emerges not from literary desire, but from administration, religion, and power. Supplies, offerings, tributes, and rituals are recorded. The world begins to stabilize because it becomes rememberable. Writing in archaic cultures is less a tool of reflection than an instrument of order. Despite these shared structures, archaic cultures differ significantly from one another. In Egypt, cosmic order and the afterlife stand at the center. In Mesopotamia, city-states, divine contracts, and law codes shape the worldview. In China, ancestor worship forms the core of social stability. In Mesoamerica, cosmos, timekeeping, and sacrificial practices are intertwined. In Greece, however, something distinctive begins. Myth is not abolished, but questioned. From archaic order slowly emerges rational thought, philosophy, and later the idea of political participation. This makes clear that archaic cultures represent a transitional phase. They stand between a purely experiential existence and a reflective understanding of the world. They do not ask how things function, but why they exist. Meaning precedes explanation, order precedes analysis, community precedes the individual. This insight is essential for a fair understanding of archaic cultures. They are not obsolete errors, but necessary foundations of human self-understanding. Without archaic order, there would be no classical philosophy, no science, no modern societies. To understand archaic cultures is to recognize that humanity first had to create meaning before it could begin to explain the world. Archaic cultures remind us that rationality was not the starting point, but emerged from a deep human need for order, protection, and significance. In this sense, they are not distant relics, but a mirror of what human thinking has always been at its core, the attempt to create a livable space of meaning within chaos.